Hello everyone and welcome to A Slice of My Life. Today I have one of these guys known as the Armed Shark Spinners, and the maker's name is 小刀户外运动, which literally translates to little knife outdoor activities. This is actually a loaner from a friend. He's actually lent it to me for the last I think almost a week in fact. He managed to somehow get this early and lent it to me and said, hey, just do a review on it because he wants to know what I think about it, and he felt that my viewers, which is you guys, would be very interested in finding out a little bit more about what I think about this dude. Let's just get right off the bat and tell you that he forgot to lend me the case that it arrives in. It's a pretty cool lock clasp kind of a case. It's made of plastic, very hard plastic, and it is foam lined, very much like a Pelican case. I don't have it right now, but I'll put a picture of it up somewhere on screen. Yeah, so this is what it actually comes with, and I'll give you guys a little bit more information about how to purchase it later on if you're interested in getting one of these. Alright, let's talk about the make and build of this thing. This is made in titanium and it is anodized. This one is anodized in a purplish blue. Alright, I know that it actually looks a little bit different on camera versus how it looks like in real life. It's actually a bit more bluish, but on camera it's making it a bit purple. But yeah, it's in titanium, and titanium on camera looks a little bit grayish, but you can see hints of yellow, but in real life it's a lot more yellow than anything. It's a bit like a gold sheen and it actually looks really cool. So titanium means that it is gonna be very light, and spin is very comfortable despite the way it looks. I am actually surprised, even though the knurls here do feel a bit sharp, and I'll get to that in a while. But yeah, it's titanium anodized, and then I believe what they did was they actually put it through a tumbling process, so it got the colors off the top and all that. In order for you to get this kind of color on titanium, I believe that it's got to be some kind of an electric anodization process, so colors are very vibrant. It also has trit slots, as you can see, 1.5mm by 6mm, 4 in total, 2 on each side. And it also has these slots where I believe you could actually put glow dots. I believe that's what they call glow dots, or just fill them up with glow epoxy if you guys are interested. If not, then yeah, you could just loop a string through or hook it onto your carabiner, but I don't think anyone would do that. Very much like the top bar, where actually the top bar actually has these kind of slots. But yeah, just fill it in with a glow dot or something, yeah, I think that would be cool. Anyway, we're going to remove the buttons on this guy, and then let's talk about the bearing and the bearing retention method. Buttons off. Here we go. Bearing retention method is by a screw-on cap, and this cap is actually made in brass. You just have to use some force. You can see all the knurls over here, so it actually provides grips for you. You don't need a particular tool, and that's how it's done. Then you just pop the bearing right out, and this is of course a 188 bearing, which is seated very nicely inside. And you can see the beautiful purple anodization on the inside, because when you tumble, it's very difficult to get the media to be hitting the inside. Or it could be also because it's protected because of the threads, so not surprising. But very nice color right there, and you can get a hint of the original color that was on the body of the spinner at first before it actually went through the tumbling process. So let's just put the bearing back in place, and screwing the cap back on is as simple as 1, 2, 3, just like that, and done. Now let's talk about the buttons. Buttons are actually very comfortable. As you can see, it's a nice concave, and it has a ridge on the outside like that, so it's actually very comfortable. No sharp edges on the buttons. But the cool thing about it is that the buttons actually have an inner lip. What the lip does is go around this raised portion over here to give it an extra layer of protection against dust, dirt, and debris actually falling in. It's not 100% protection because it's not a full seal. You still need to have it spinning freely, but it's a very good way of having some extra protection for your bearing, and it spins very well freely on that slot. So buttons are made this way, and I think that they are very comfortable. Next up is a quick size comparison for you guys versus a stubby. It's taller than a stubby, and this is a stainless steel stubby. I believe it's a stainless steel. The person I bought it from kept telling me that it is titanium, but I really don't think it's titanium. The way it is, it's just too heavy for titanium. I think this is stainless steel, so I might have got tricked, or maybe wrong information was told to the person in the first place. I don't know, but anyway, I got it cheap. So size comparison for you, and you can see that it is considerably longer than a stubby. Alright, let's now talk about how it fidgets, okay? Fidgetability on this guy actually is surprisingly good. Despite all the knurls that I mentioned that were around the sides over here, on the sides of the arms, no real knurls over here, but this is actually chamfered nicely. and edges are not too sharp, as you can see. It is titanium after all, and it has been put through a tumbling process, so the edges not really very sharp, but you know, the knurls and the little details over here, they might feel sharp to the touch. They do, however, provide a nice texture if you guys are into that, you know, when you get that kind of feeling when you rub against the edges. I'm not so much into that, but I'll just say that these knurls over here are the sharpest spots on the spinner. However, it's very interesting because they don't actually make the spinner feel very uncomfortable. Probably because of the weight. You know, it's really light being titanium, and there are technically no real hot spots here on the inside, but on the outside here you might feel some discomfort. I don't actually experience much, honestly, because you know, when I'm doing this kind of forward flick over here, my fingers basically rubbing against this ridge, and this ridge is nicely chamfered. Look at that angle. So it's not sharp at all over here. And that's what I basically do most of the time when I'm pushing forward. And when I'm pulling back and doing a preloaded flick, my finger's actually on the raised portion over here. So I rarely ever get my finger up on this knurls over here on the side. So that's, you know, really not a cause for concern in my opinion. And then when we go ahead and hold it with the middle finger and the thumb, and we push forward or pull back with your index finger, same thing. If you land on the top of the spinner, no problem whatsoever. If you push forward this way on the side, or you pull back on the side like that, you know, not really much of an issue on these knurls over here. I can only foresee that the only thing these knurls will do to cause you any kind of grief, let's just use that word, is when you slip it into your pocket and it snags your pocket. I think that's the only thing. Or it might scratch, you know, something else if you don't have it in a bag or a little pouch and you put it in your pocket and you have it mixed with your, say, your keys or a little leather pouch or your coin pouch, something. Then yeah, this might cause a little bit of scuffing to that, but to your fingers and your hands, not at all. I've had this guy on my EDC for the past 5 days and really, it's not, you know, causing me any problem whatsoever, you know, and it is surprisingly a lot more comfortable than I expected. And the design itself, let's just say it is like an ETS-1 killer. If you guys were aware of the whole ETS-1 saga, I won't be talking about it. This looks a lot like the ETS-1 in my opinion. Very different in a lot of ways, but very similar in a lot of ways. However, I think that this design is actually quite cool. It doesn't really appeal to me, but I know that it will appeal to a lot of you. Next thing I will talk about is the wobble. It does suffer quite a bit from the gyroscopic effect, and a lot of wobble when you move it left and right when you're spinning it. So that is unfortunate, but I believe that it is due to a lot of factors, including design as well as material. I know that they actually have one version in brass, and brass being a heavier material probably will have a little bit more of a louder ringing sound, but at the same time I don't think the brass version will suffer from a lot of that wobbling, but this one does. You guys can actually hear it. When it's spinning, there isn't much of a resonance, but once I start to move it around, you can hear it. Really, I think that the reason why it's so affected by the wobble is because of the design, because, you know, it's outward, tapering out, and as well as, you know, this part over here with the knurls and everything cutting through the air. So that's what I think. I can't really put a finger on why it's doing that, but when you hold it still, it's smooth as heck. Really, it's so smooth. I mean, it's getting pretty good spin times for its size, and of course the material, which is titanium, and it's really, really light. But that wobble, you know, if you're one who is a huge fan of that wobble feeling and you like being able to feel your spinner spinning in your hand, this, definitely get this guy. Alright, let's talk about price point. The brass version is going for $55 US shipped. But these titanium versions are not expensive at all. They are $75 shipped. And the reason why I'm speaking about these titanium versions in plural is because they actually have 3 different colors of this. General colors, I would say that it is purple, blue, and green. But if I were to try to kind of be a bit more specific on the colors, and this is not a good representation because of the camera, the way it's picking up the colors, but I believe that the colors are closer to violet, indigo, and turquoise. Yeah, I'll put a picture of it up somewhere so that you guys can actually see a better comparison of the colors. But this one is more of a blue in real life. When the light is flat on, it's blue, and then when you kind of tilt it a little bit, it becomes a little bit purplish, but on the camera it's just picking up as purple, and the body looks a bit greenish on camera, but in real life it's goldish. So yeah, it's very, very unique, and I like this uniqueness of the colors. I think it's very, very cool. I think I'm starting to become a sucker for titanium spinners or titanium finishes where, the makers or the manufacturers first anodize it and then put it through a tumbling process, very much like the NMD N spinner. I really like this. Oh man. Alright, down to my final verdict on this guy. Pros and cons. Pro, very comfortable despite the way it looks. Con, this might snag your pocket. Pro, if you guys like the feeling of this, that's good. Con, if you don't like knurls, you just don't like it. The design itself doesn't really appeal to me, but I can see how it'll appeal to a lot of people out there who like this particular look. Yes, it is slightly aggressive, and I can understand why they want to call it the armed shark, because this looks a bit like shark gills to me. It really does look a bit like shark gills. Has trit slots. It's made of titanium and super light. There also is a heavier brass version. 188 bearing with a good retention system and good protection for the bearing as well. Comes in a very cool plastic case. I wish I had the case to show you guys. And last but not least, I'm just gonna say this because I want to. I actually like the arm shark logo. It's like a shark knife hybrid thing. And I wish that they had that logo on the button somewhere. So if you guys are interested in purchasing one, you already know the prices. 55 shipped for the brass version, 75 shipped for the titanium versions. And if you guys are interested in getting one for yourself, head on down to the Spin Scene Facebook group, speak to Roy or Shawn, and they'll hook you up. Stocks are limited, and that is understandable because, it's not easy to machine something like this. But overall, a pretty solid contender for a mid-tier titanium spinner. Something that you could consider adding to your collection if you're a titanium lover. For me, unfortunately, I'm not a fan of titanium. I am a fan of stainless steel, but these colors definitely are speaking to me, and I am kind of wanting to get myself one of those turquoise colored ones because that color is just really unique. And that's it, guys. Once again, this is the Armed Shark by 小刀户外运动. Funny name, but that is the seller name. And I hope that the information that I provided you will help you decide whether or not this is a spinner for you, whether or not you want to add it to your collection. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll catch you in the next slice of my life. Bye!